My one and only Major. Get your team together and find my arm.
The screams of able men echoed in the air when a set of explosions ruptured into one of the side entrances of the warehouse. Fire and smoke filled the open courtyard until the group of intruders pierced through the black veil, attacking men on sight. One glowed an eerie green while tossing men across the way. Another fought with weapons pulled from nothing. And a woman gleamed with a metallic sheen bulldozed into those that stood in her way. This particular group broke from the large pack as they traversed into the belly of the front's headquarters. Yet 4 stayed behind, assessing the now decimated grounds for a trajectory of their own.
Why must I be here?
Sneered a woman, prim and proper, while she propped her glasses atop the bridge of her nose.
I could easily just stay behind and hack into their systems with no concerns.
But what fun would that be without you here, oh Ladybird? Cooed a tall and lithe man, dressed fashionably dignified in tall-heeled boots. I would be fraught with anxiety.
Enough with your prattle. Come now, the both of you.
You harked, sitting atop a large white wolf that skulked into the premises.
We've all got an objective, and we need to be swift.
You eyed the surroundings, finding a tall structure not too far from your position.
That's probably communications.
You pointed out.
We'll need to gain access in order to find some further intel. Alpha and I will clear the path ahead for the both of you. Prime, I need you to wreak havoc on their security and locate their data mainframe, if any. Once that's done, Corsair, I need you to start memorizing everything Prime discovers.
All well and good, but what about Team Beta? Asked Corsair with a flick of his long hair.
They have their mission. Plus, they'll also work as a distraction for half the facility. We'll move ahead. Don't take long.
With a whip of the reins, the wolf leapt over the couple, galloping towards the bowels of the headquarters. With every gallop, you rode through the halls, crashing into each living being that was in Alpha's path. Blood splattered around walls, while bodies laid in wait, until throughout the massacre, Alpha halted, his nose sniffing the air with a growl under his breath.
I smell fresh meat.
He spoke through his teeth, jerking his body towards the scent. He held onto the reins tightly until he reached a set of double doors, slamming his body and swinging them violently open. Inside the darkened room, lit by numerous screens, stood a number of men, plus a young blonde woman, her eyes filled with a crazed, bloodthirsty hunger.
Gotta go!
Perked Toga from the back. The sound of gunfire shot through the room, merged with the splashes and splatters of bodies and blood decorating across the walls and floors. Toga easily weaved through the chaos, leaping over Alpha with mere inches to spare from his large maw. She flew above you until the glint of something caught your eye, merely dodging the edge of a blade across your face. With a grunt, you felt the slice of it against your skin, your cheek cut open from Toga's quick work. The blonde only giggled while she quickly took a sample into a small vial on her person, before she sped away from the room. You whipped your sights towards the door, only to find her gone, hissing at the pain radiating from your cheek.
Are you okay?
Spoke the wolf, his body heaving heavily while you brushed your thumb against the wound.
I'm fine. Good job, Alpha.
You commended, eyeing the now blood-soaked room.
Ew?
Commented Prime from the doors, tiptoeing into the room with Corsair in tow.
You could have at least been cleaner about this. Prime, can you do something about the security?
You asked, ignoring her whines. You spotted the woman eyeing the screens before her, immediately setting her sights on the machines with a smirk.
Basic.
She replied, quickly typing away into the system from the giant control panel.
In fact, I'm going to give them the slip. Keep them in the loop, if you know what I mean.
You cracked a smirk at Prime's suggestion. She had yet to fail in making things fun for herself despite the circumstances. It was oft times that mind of hers would be steps ahead of everything else, even with these coordinated plans.
Alpha, you're going to have to distract them for a while.
You informed, earning a growl from the large wolf.
We'll be fine. Just give them hell, like you always do.
He continued to growl and reply while you disembarked his saddle, walking up to Prime's persistent typing by the lit monitors.
If you head towards the large hall to the north, you'll find some target practice.
Informed Prime.
Looks like they're setting something up in there.
You eyed the screen in question, watching a number of foot soldiers building a makeshift barricade in front of impressive doors. It wasn't long until the blonde woman who escaped the very room you occupied appeared on screen, ordering the men.
Go, Alpha.
You piped. The wolf, with a nod, leapt in a flurry, leaving behind blood-stained paw prints in its wake from the room.
Bingo.
Exclaimed Prime.
There's our mainframe, right below us. Let's go.
You ordered, turning towards the now non-existent double doors behind you.
We don't have much time left.
Prime and Corsair soon took the lead while you followed after them towards your target, listening to the destruction around the facility. It was a risky plan to infiltrate the Paranormal Liberation Front's base, even after obtaining leads and information of their whereabouts, thanks to the Doctor. You eyed your compatriots scouting ahead for any rogue personnel around the complex, yet your mind wandered, recollecting on your thoughts and your sentiments since speaking with Chisaki.
How will you go about collecting my arm?
Asked Chisaki, his gloved fingers tapping rhythmically on the old and dusty coffee table that sat before him. He sat on the dusty couch, old and worn from disuse and decay, while he looked around the room. The walls were stained from the destruction they suffered, old and decrepit splinters of wood decorating the dirty floor of his once formidable domain.
They're not to be trifled with.
He spoke slowly, still enthralled by the sight of his right hand in clear view.
Distractions.
You simply replied.
My crew can form a two-front war. Minor in scale, but still the same principle. However, information on their base came with a price.
Chisaki's golden eyes bore into yours, while you stood with a level of confidence in his presence.
What price?
One that'll be our safety net, should we fail to retrieve your glory.
You answered with a stern lip, partly apprehensive of his reaction given he had control of his quirk once more. Chisaki stood to his feet from the couch, while you watched the scar across his right forearm contort and stretch with the muscle brought back to life. The Doctor wasn't wrong about her abilities. She revived a part of Chisaki almost as if he never lost the limb. He slipped into the new reality of his arm as if nothing had happened at all. Yet that scar remained, a piece of history that could never be erased, and Chisaki's eyes told all.
Are you saying that you will fail?
He questioned, his feet slowly approaching you with a calm and eerily frightening glare.
There's a possibility.
You bluntly replied.
We don't know numbers. or who we'll encounter in there. I'm only stating facts.
You eyed every move Chisaki made, spotting his hand reaching up to your cheek before he slowly brushed your hair from your face. That moment slowed in time, feeling every sensation from his gloved fingertips across your skin to the faintest touch against your ear. Your heart raced, knowing the power he held now, no longer trapped in captivity.
Fact and possibilities are contradictions.
He stated with a condescending look.
You should know better than most psychiatrists.
I'm not certified.
You clarified.
If anything, I've learnt more from you as a mentor in those 6 months.
Chisaki scoffed while he still tucked your hair away from your face, his fingers lingering mere inches from your skin before they gingerly hovered below your jaw. You looked him in the eye, standing tall and firm, until his analytical gaze turned curious.
Certified or not, you're one for mind games.
He deduced.
Do you have a plan B should you fail me?
That's where the price for information comes in.
You explained, still looking him in the eye despite his fingers pressed against your skin.
We'll arrange a trade instead.
Heading towards your objective was simple, to say the least. Prime's meddling with their security system has only allowed a simple loop of their group still rampaging through the halls. But so far, it was enough to lead others astray, towards Alpha. Both of your compatriots soon made their way to a room, Prime pointing to Corsair confirming their destination before he stood by the doors and kicked them down. With a crash at the door, the room opened up to its clinically white and stale glare, filled with only a small row of servers, lined up and aligned against the back wall. Wires and cabling messily ran through any crevice available, while a large television screen was propped along the adjacent wall. Prime gasped and cooed at the sight, waltzing towards the server machines with a light hop in her step.
Oh, hello, baby.
She purred while she approached the row, running her fingers gingerly over their surfaces.
Now why can't she be like that with me?
Teased Corsair, earning a cracked smirk from you.
Let her have her fun.
You reminded him while you stood by the large television screen.
Besides, I need your incredible memory to keep this logged for future developments.
With a dramatic bow, Corsair stood by your side, investigating the large screen that soon skimmed past huge amounts of data and information, thanks to Prime's instantaneous excitement over the hardware. Everything sped so quickly on screen that mere words were nothing but blurs.
Prime, locate information on primary targets or personnel wanted by the front.
You ordered, immediately hearing succinct typing until the screen revealed a rap sheet, slowing down with every swipe. Corsair concentrated on screen, his eyes skimming the information and soon memorizing each person, one by one. You stepped forward to analyze the screens, spotting a few familiar faces, but none that concerned you. Until...
Stop.
You ordered, the screen flickering on an information sheet regarding someone who had disappeared off the radar years ago, suspected to be under the Commission's witness protection program. Information on their last whereabouts was available, as well as the most recent photo of them, which was taken years ago, still at work at an agency of sorts. You skimmed through the screen, eyeing this person's appearance and noticing key words that popped out from the screen. Former defense soldier of 2 years, close quarters combat training, intelligence agent, MIA over the past 7 years, and then his name met your gaze. The former commission agent that was in charge of said target. Keigo Takami.
Corsair, study this one carefully and retain everything. You'll need to note this down when we return.
You instructed, earning a cordial smile from the flamboyant man.
Done and done.
He agreed, staring back at the screen while he absorbed everything he read, his eyes darting quickly in succession.
What's so special about this one?
Questioned Prime, sitting in wait for Corsair.
Not sure. But the General wanted us to find them.
You explained, plainly and blunt.
She said that other agents had failed her so far. So we're doing the dirty work. Not necessarily.
You watched Corsair roll his neck, relieving himself of the download until he turned to you with a sly grin.
Is that all?
He queried.
Not quite, but we have to be quick.
You instructed. It was like clockwork. Corsair began to download everything in his own mind, memorizing every word, every phrase, and every image. Though it wasn't as simple as downloading the data itself, it helped in avoiding any digital footprints left behind. However, it had only been 5 minutes until...
Team Alpha, we've been compromised.
Spoke a voice in your ear, recognizing it as one of the members from Team Beta.
Request to fall back. I repeat, request to fall back.
Your lips pulled into a grimace, aware of the call while you took a deep breath, running your plans through your head. Team Beta had failed in their objective, leaving only what you could gather with Prime and Corsair as the only valuable asset to leave with all of you.
Hurry this up, we have to go.
You instructed both your comrades before returning back to your earpiece.
Infinity, request granted. Rendezvous back to the entry point.
Copy that. Major.
Responded Infinity, leaving you with Prime disconnecting and Corsair slipping back into reality, until the sound of a high-pitched whistle caught their ears, flinching from the screeching tone to turn to you blowing into a dog whistle.
Ugh, why must you use that infernal thing?
Retorted Prime in disgust.
Come along, you can complain more when we get out of here.
You offered, making your way out of the server room with both of them following after. The sight of Alpha ahead both relieved and horrified you, finding his armor charred and riddled with remnants of bullets and his white fur matted with blood. He turned to you with one eye, his snout bearing a deep sneer. You hoped after the escape that all of this was worth it, that would lead to further developments, and that you will help rebuild a better future with Chisaki at the helm. And yet the dread still laid in your mind, remembering him with his fingers lingering over your skin.
A trade.
Questioned Chisaki, his golden eyes boring into yours, judging your character.
Yes. In exchange for intel on the paranormal liberation front, we had to collect data on specific targets they had been interested in.
You explained in simple detail.
One in particular who had escaped from capture 7 years ago. If we track this person down, we could use them as leverage for your arm.
And how long will that take?
The edge in Chisaki's voice brimmed with annoyance and frustration while you felt his fingers press sharply into your skin, the smooth touch of his gloves gripping in this seething anger. You swallowed before you looked him in his eyes, reaching your hand up to his cheek in tandem with a gentle touch of your own, watching his eyes recoil from your advance.
I could never understand your pain, but it may take time.
You bluntly answered.
Took us 6 months to get you out, but I promise you it won't take that long to clean up this mess.
Chisaki eyed your resolve, still allowing his grip on you while your hand merely hovered over him. He smirked behind his mask, his eyes revealing amusement before his fingers loosened.
You have plans,
he stated, following your train of thought.
Yes, whether they fail or not.
Your resolve stood firm until you felt Chisaki's hand release you, his eyes now turning to stare at the decrepit room around him. To think this was his once upon a time, he thought to himself, recalling the men who were loyal to his cause standing by his side. He did not feel for their fate or for their circumstances. However, his eyes glanced back onto you. A different kind of loyal, one self-aware of their choices and the price they paid. You watch the plumes of smoke from the distance, watching the facility calm from your assault with the fires now doused. Sitting atop Alpha, the wolf heaved, eyeing movement through the streets before 3 familiar faces appeared, worse for wear.
Dearie me, whatever happened to all of you?
Asked Corsair with a flighty air of concern.
We ran into some complications.
Explained Infinity, his shoulder still bursting blood from its open wound, before Prime approached him, pulling out a medical kit on her person.
Shigaraki has a new pet.
Added Psyche, his hand still glowing a sulfuric green, lifting an unconscious woman off the ground.
And this is the result.
Is she dead?
Asked Alpha through gritted teeth.
No, thankfully.
Replied Psyche.
Knocked out from the laughing fit. Laughing fit?
Questioned Corsair.
I'm sorry, Major. We failed you.
Apologized Infinity, cringing and flinching with each tightening of the bandage Prime applied to his wound.
Not at all, Infinity. If anything, you've been a great help.
You reassured, turning your eye on Corsair.
We've got what we were searching for at least. You've all done well. Now we just need to wait for Team Omega to return and we'll commence Stage 3 with all the intel we've received. We will rebuild. For overhaul.
For overhaul!
Agreed Infinity. Everyone else held an air of agreement, with Alpha's low growl the only sign of distaste in the matter. You eyed your crew, watching their eyes almost sparkle with anticipation and loyalty. It was blind, but loyalty came with a price. Thankful that their sworn oaths were the only true physical remnants left of your quirk. Staring into Chisaki's cold golden stare was still unnerving. No matter how many times you had stood before him, or within the same room, he held himself with a power that spoke volumes, now capable of wreaking devastation. You had to think ahead. Steps, if not miles ahead, to rectify the world.
I need a cleanup crew.
Ordered Chisaki while he eyed the dust and filth around the room.
Chisaki?
You uttered.
Organize one that won't snitch on this place. I'll be out of sight when they are around. If they ask questions, persuade them otherwise.
You watched him stare at his arm once more, the black scar contorting with every muscle that shifted across his forearm. It was a side effect you were aware of when it came to the doc. It was almost her mark for her work.
I'll look into it.
You answered, turning to head for the door.
And make sure there are no loose ends.
Added Chisaki, causing you to stop in your stead.
That prison break of yours would have attracted too much attention, especially for 2 particular agencies.
Team Omega is already on a scouting mission. News of our existence has spread far, but they'll be speeding up the process to enact your return.
You hoped that would reassure Chisaki. 6 months learning about the former Yakuza leader had led to some revelations about his growth in Tartarus. His denial, his anger, his paranoia. And now, with that arm returned, it almost amplified these emotions of his. However, at the very least, he was filled with a sense of hope to regain what he had lost.
Very good.
Spoke Chisaki, his body now behind you with his hand on your shoulder and his lips to your ear.
I'm putting my trust in you, Major. Don't disappoint me.
You smiled before you raised your hand to reach his, your fingers brushing the top of his palm that crawled towards your neck, his fingers lightly brushing against your skin. You realize he did not flinch from your touch this time around, allowing you this permission, indulging even the slightest. Baby steps, you thought. Trust went both ways.